don't know what the regulations are with towers and stuff down there, what how they have to be guy wired, but hopefully in Florida it's a lot stricter than it is like here in Alabama. So.
Hey guys, also, if you lose power or your power is out due to a shutdown of whatever kind, turn off the main power on your circuit breaker.
Why would you turn that off?
You want to turn off the power so that if there's when it tries to come back on, there's no power surges, and then that's the only thing you would want to do. You don't want to try to fix any electricity once the power goes out. Turn off the power so that your power from the grid, and wait until you get an announcement that it gets turned back on.
All right, just to go off what you guys were saying about shutting off the main breaker if your power goes out. If you guys have any expensive electronics in the house, desktop computers, big expensive TVs, projector systems, big sound systems, any big expensive devices that are plugged into the wall, you want to unplug those now, because if your power goes out, when the power comes back on, pretty good chance there's going to be a power surge, and it'll fry all those electronics out. So you definitely want to unplug that stuff now.
That's true. Thank you for telling us, Gumball. And I would like to know if the internet will still be working if there's no power.
Yeah, can y'all talk?
If there's no...
Again, on that one, as far as will the cable systems be working, on certain cable systems, they have battery backup systems. And even on the poles, if it's aerial, they have like deep cycle batteries. It's like 2 deep cycle batteries. But again, that's only going to work for so long, because most of it's fiber. And those systems are probably not going to last more than 24 hours. Maybe not even that long. It may be 12 hours. So again, it just depends. From the head end, where it comes from the head end, if they're running a generator, a lot of the larger companies will probably have a generator or battery backup system. It depends on it depends on how long they can run. From the head end, go from the head end basically to all the nodes and things like that, because it's going to spread out to a node system. And basically, it depends on if the node's got a battery backup and things like that. That's why you see those silver boxes up on the poles and things like that. Those silver boxes have battery backups in them and things like that. So if you ever look up and see a silver box on a pole or something like that, and it's got a light on it or something like that, it's got 2 deep cycle batteries in it. And basically that's what it does to keep the voice over IP up and things like that for priority and things like that.
Does anyone know where any shelters are near Citrus County?
Yes, please use Google to find your local shelters.
Does anyone know, around what time it will be hitting Florida?
Please consult with your local weather station to find out when the hurricane will be hitting your area.
If you look in the photos I posted, they said that there was more than 390 shelters throughout Florida, and you can go to floridadisaster.org/shelter.
You may also text shelter to the number 4 FEMA and from your cell phone and get shelter information. The other reason for turning off the power is to not create that surge and cause a fire. You do not want to have a fire issue in your home.
I was just wondering if the 8 to 12 inches they predicted of rain will affect Central Florida.
Absolutely, darling. Hey, y'all know anything about FEMA? When are they coming down?
Hey, what are the chances?
If I knew the answer to that, man, I would give you that answer ASAP, but I'm sure that they're already being deployed. Again, as far as when, where, I do not know the answer. If any of the other mods know it, I'm sure they would be more than happy to provide it to you this time.
I heard that the nearest was in
Stars, when, where?
For the lady that's looking for a shelter, text shelter in your zip code to 43362. Text shelter in your zip code to 43362. That'll give you the nearest shelter in your location.
As a Hurricane Sandy survivor and Hurricane Irene, FEMA does have some services in place before the storm, but most of their disaster services come in after the storm has passed to help with search and rescue, disaster services, relocation, and whatnot. So most of your FEMA efforts will come in post-storm.
Yeah, just to add to that, I know FDNY and a bunch of guys from New York with the rescue task force, they're already down in Georgia. They're ready to go as soon as the storm passes. So if you guys make it through this, expect to see them on the streets looking for people who need help.
Once the storm hits and stuff, I'm really scared because, my house is all boarded up and it's a really sturdy house, and we're just thinking about riding it through. I live in Tampa, Florida. Would you guys recommend going to a shelter or just toughing it out in the safest room here?
At this point, with the storm being so close, you might as well just ride it out and take shelter right now. They're telling everybody to stay off the roads.
That is correct. I don't know if there's a mandatory curfew in your area, although if your house is boarded up, you should be pretty safe in there as long as you're not in a flood zone. If you're in a flood zone, you should evacuate to a shelter. If you're not in a flood zone, I'd recommend you stay where you are now.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Gumball, you're coming in weak and unreadable. You might want to turn up your mic a little bit.
Is it better now?
Hey guys, just wanted to check in and see how everybody's doing.
Good on this end, Sergeant D, what's going on? This is Jason.
One of my neighbors had a question about buses to shelters because they don't have transportation. Will that be provided? Buses to shelters because they don't have transportation.
Like we said, at this time, they're telling everybody to stay in place because they're telling them to stay off the roads because the storm's getting pretty close. I know Key West is getting their first hurricane gusts right now. Their winds are up to about 60 to 70, and the power just went out on live TV, actually, on the Weather Channel. So everybody just hold the hell on right now.
What do you think about the Sefner, Florida area?
I live in Northport. Is it going to be hard or not?
If you want to know conditions in your area, text your zip code to 888-777. 888-777, or download the FEMA app or weather app.
NWS Miami just tweeted 49 seconds ago, 11 p.m. update, Hurricane Irma continues to slowly move closer to South Florida with strong Category 3 force winds.
Thank you for that update.
Also, please understand that most of the cable companies will be completely opening their hotspots to everybody. Most likely with power going out in most areas with nodes, and as well as the head ends losing power. Most of those hotspots won't be available, but maybe you have a shot when everything starts going down.
Yes, actually, Xfinity has increased their Wi-Fi towers to 137,000 in Florida, and you can find the Wi-Fi hotspot at xfinity.com/Wi-Fi.
Right. The thing is, if the power goes out, there's a very good chance that those Wi-Fi hotspots are not going to be available.
But the thing is they're going to be offering generators.
I don't have that information confirmed at this time.
The generators aren't for the hotspots. They're for the cable.
Oh, crap. All right.
Also know that a lot of these cable companies with phone providers, like someone was previously saying, they are voice over internet protocols. So you would have to have either a backup battery on your modem to use it, or like she said, plug it into a landline if it's corded, and you can call 911 only. Also,
that's only if the phone lines are still up. There's a pretty good chance if the hurricane hits as hard as they say it will, a lot of the phone lines will get knocked out as well as the power lines. Obviously, we can't tell if that is going to happen yet, but there's a pretty good chance that that is going to happen.
Yeah, one more thing on that. I also survived Hurricane Sandy, and like we said earlier, the cell phone companies had those cows, those cellular on wheels, and a lot of times even those were getting backed up because we had so many people trying to make calls. So just use your survival instincts. Try to hold on.
Is there a possibility it might turn east again?
Anything is possible at this point.
Okay, there's just another update for tornado watch issued for parts of Florida until 12 p.m. It's a map. I'm going to take a picture and post it.
Is there a possibility it might turn east again?
Yes, there is a possibility it may turn east again. As we said, anything can happen right now.
I have a father-in-law who's actually bedridden with hospice, and we live out in Sacramento, Florida, and right now we're not sure if I need to put him in some type of shelter or what's going on. Will the hurricane even make it this way?
The possibility of a hurricane going east is very slim as per the National Hurricane Center, but it is in the realm of possibilities.
Alright, update here. There is a tornado watch in effect until 12 a.m. for the following locations. This is a tornado watch in effect until 12 a.m. for the following locations. The Florida counties included are Howard, Charlotte, Collier, Glades, Hendry, Lee, Miami-Dade, Monroe, and Palm Beach. That is a tornado warning for those counties in effect until 12 a.m. End of transmission.
Hey, is the northeast quadrant still the most potent part of the storm, or has that died down quite a bit?
I believe they are predicting the storm to come up the west coast of Florida as of now. They're saying that the east coast of Florida is not going to get hit as bad, although the storm has a very large radius, so it will affect those areas that just won't take a direct hit.
Regarding the battery backups when it comes to the cable modem phone thing, there is a clause that does indicate that it may not work in the event of a power outage and to not rely on it solely. You can check it, however, just like telephone lines, if the cable lines are above ground, it's not going to matter. But there are telephone lines and cable lines that do get run underground, so you can certainly try.
For anyone that needs information from Tampa, there's going to be a shelter at the Raymond James Stadium.
And the question on FEMA, apparently there's 7,500 people ready to deploy that are stationed in Georgia at this point.
You got any update for Pasco County?
Pasco County's got an 8 to 10 foot storm surge and about 100+ mile per hour wind gust.
What about around Lithia, Florida?
Buy Bitcoin, buy it all.
Again, text your zip code to 888-777 and it will give you your updates to your location in your area. Download the FEMA app and that would also help.
What's the best NOAA app?
What about Polk County?
Go to floridadisaster.org. There will be a NOAA link there. You can also download the app Hurricane Tracker. Also on Florida Disasters website, there's other very valuable resources without having to hunt everything down.
okay.
Hey, can y'all give the flood zone website as well?
The flood zone website would be knowyourzone.com.
Just so y'all know, I was through Superstorm Sandy up here in Pensy, and your cell phone connection may end up being a 2G or a 3G at the least. T-Mobile also has unlimited data for the Florida area, so just so you guys know, please stay safe.
Yes, Broward County, can you go?
Is there any update on Citrus County?
The storm is projected to go north, direct hit to Tampa and Fort Myers for now.
What about all the horses in Florida?
For your local updates, text your zip code to 888-777, and that would help your area knowing what's going on. Or download the FEMA app, and it'll tell you your area as well, or weather.
Anybody has a generator for Miami Beach?
When is it supposed to hit Ocala, Florida? That's where I'm at, along with my children and my family. We didn't evacuate, so I'm trying to figure out what.
Please text your zip code to 888-777 for local updates in your area.
I think it's safe to say that the storm is going to hit most of the state overnight. I'd say around 2, 3, 4 a.m. and it's going to last through the entire day tomorrow. So just go with that for now for everybody who's looking for individual locations.
It's going to be a restless night for everybody.
This thing is scary big.
Yo, thank you. Appreciate all the information, you guys. It's something. I'll keep it up.
Sergeant D, man, Ryan LeCompte, 0311, man, Marine, thank you for your service, and thank you, moderators, for what y'all do, too.
10-4.
Hey, Red, we need to get that gentleman that's repeating that over and over and over again. You need to get that recorded and just play it back at different times.
How hard is this supposed to hit Fort Myers?
We can't tell you that at this time. Please text your zip code to 888-777 for local updates.
Hey guys, it's Tampa Girl. I'm just restless tonight and can't sleep. I just posted a picture for anybody on this channel that is evacuated to a hotel and you're concerned because of the impact of the roads and such post-storm. There is an 800 number. Also be aware, FEMA will cover the cost of hotels once the disaster hits. Most Motel 6s have a computerized system that is directly linked with FEMA. I would imagine that would be true with other motels, although I cannot verify that. We're at a Motel 6 ourselves, and we were just told that tonight. I contacted the FEMA number, and they said, yes, they do cover hotel stays up to several weeks to months if your house is damaged, as long as you have checked in before the brunt of the storm has hit. So for those of you that are financially strapped but can find a hotel room for at least tomorrow night, one night 79 to like $109, that secures you should something happen to your house and you need a place to stay.
Also, and if you're in Tampa and you're worried about flooding, feel free to park your car in a parking garage anywhere.
Actually, guys, I'm in Tampa, and parking a parking garage, unless the parking garage is truly solid on the exterior walls, if you park in a parking garage that has open levels, you're creating a wind tunnel effect. Tampa's expected to get gusts upwards of 100 to 135 as of 9 o'clock was the estimate through Pasco County Sheriff's EOC. So be really careful because a wind tunnel effect is really going to mess up your car.
Hey, Tampa girl, I thought you was getting some sleep, but could you give us an update on the story?
Well, the latest update is it's having a nice, warm, toasty hot tub bath in the Straits. South Peninsula, there at the tip, is getting hurricane force winds as of right now. So south from Fort Myers going all the way north of Tampa, wind speeds and wind gusts are expected to exceed possibly 135 miles. That means sustained winds are going to be at least 100. So we need to buckle up, settle down, everybody get your last minute preparations done now.
So putting my car in a parking garage is best. Probably not one of the best of ideas.
Not unless it's a solid parking garage. Like I said, if the outside walls are solid and you park in the dark, so to speak, you would be okay. But not the half-open ones that most of the ones in Tampa are. Trust me, I researched that one out because that's exactly what I was going to do. And military major in rescue and recovery absolutely set me straight on that one.
Does anybody have any information on how bad the flooding will be in Osceola County?
Guys, we can't estimate the flooding other than they're telling us on the West Coast we're looking at storm surge possibly up to 15 feet. East Coast at this point is going to fare better. So last night they were saying 12 to 15 on the East Coast and 3 on the West Coast. Flip that around and that'll give you a good estimate. But again, nobody's going to know. Also, the storm surge. Once this storm passes, you need to stay hunkered down for at least 3 to 4 hours post-storm. The reason being, as the storm moves north of your location, the counterclockwise motion of the storm is going to push water inland, and that's when most of the coastal A and B levels of flooding are going to occur.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, Tampa girl. I made that mistake in Superstorm Sandy up on Long Island, and that's where most of my neighborhood got flooded, including my house. These winds that we're talking about, this wind field looks to be about 60 to 70 miles. So I think the East Coast will escape some of the worst surge, but they're going to be dealing with those hurricane force winds for quite some time, all the way up towards Tampa and north, like we said.
Also keep in mind, guys, even though that the eye of the storm is going to sit right off the west coast, is what they're predicting right now, remember the northeast quadrant of this storm is the most dangerous part of this storm other than the eye wall. So look, central Florida going all the way up the state is definitely in an area of destruction. Do not become complacent. I know a lot of people are starting to relax, or panic mode is setting them into autopilot. Autopilot is fine as long as you are following your disaster preparation plan, but don't become too complacent. Definitely keep an eye on everything, guys.
When is the hurricane supposed to hit the Tampa Bay area?
Tampa Bay area, look, tomorrow morning, about 8 a.m., they're telling everybody on our local TV stations, that's when you need to clean your cars out of any, belongings that you don't want to get wet in case there's damage to the vehicles. To batten down, about 11 to 12 noon is when we're going to see winds where that's going to park law enforcement 40 to 50 miles, and it's just going to increase from there. They said by 4 o'clock we should be definitely experiencing hurricane force winds, and then that's going to continue through the evening. The worst part is estimated for the Tampa Bay area to hit between 2 and 4 a.m.
Are cars in garage considered safe? And also, the USF parking garage is open if anyone needs to park anywhere.
If you park in your home garage, that's fine. But once you pull your car in, I would suggest you back it in so that the front of the car is facing the door, and put your car, I don't know how to explain this, put your car right up against the door so your front fender should actually be touching your garage door. That's going to help prevent if the door blows in. If the door blows out, and it doesn't blow out completely, if you're facing out with your car, worst case scenario is you'd be able to push most garage doors out of the way with most cars, unless you've got like a VW Bug or something like that.
I just have a question. Could you just go over that FEMA thing just one more time? How long do you have to notify them before we ask for rescue?
As far as FEMA's concerned, they're coming into the area anyway. If you need rescue and you are in a life-threatening situation during the storm, unfortunately there is absolutely no one that's going to be able to come out during the storm. Once the inclement danger has passed, if you are in a life-threatening situation, then you want to call 911. Be advised 911 will be inundated, so you are very likely to receive yourself on hold. It's not a pleasant position to be in, being a 911 dispatcher for 17 years. When Charlie hit, Punta Gorda's 911 cascaded north, and we had 99 calls holding at one point. So be patient. Even in your dire situation, every 911 dispatcher in the state is busting their ass to make sure that they get to you. And then it's a matter of waiting. Also, our sister site, which is Hurricane Irma Rescue and Recovery. You can make your pleas there. You can also get here, and on the mods that are going to be on all night tomorrow night, we'll do our damnedest to get your information over. Also, one thing I want people to start doing, find a piece of paper, write down your address of where you are hunkering down, write down how many people and how many pets are in your house, a contact phone number for you, and take a picture of that and add it sometime during the afternoon or evening tomorrow. That way, if you come up and you're just panicked and screaming and not effectively able to give us information, we can look through the history and try to find that documentation so we can pass that on to any rescuers that would be coming towards you.
Does anybody, I'm sorry, I'll come back, hold on.
Hi, I have been...
Hey, Tampa girl, go to the eye icon and roll up to that picture from London 16 and read that and respond to that picture that's there. I'm not gonna approve it, but read it before I delete it from London 16.
Yes, and one of the other things I brought up earlier is see about downloading any survival guide apps that are on your phone. They're really good. They can get some good information, and they can help you kind of come up with some creative ideas in case it takes some time for FEMA to get to you. You may have some things that you need to take care of, and you may be able to find an answer in one of those survival guide apps.
Hey, thank you for that information. It's about 4 minutes ago, Tampa girl, and it's an actual question there.
If you have people put their information in their profile pic, you won't have to go search through the history. As soon as you hear them asking for help, you can go look on their profile pic, and then you'll have all their information.
Just a quick tip for anyone that has Comcast or Xfinity, you can turn to channel 1999 and you'll get emergency alerts like tornado warnings there, but all it is a black screen, so you turn up the volume and then you'll be good for the night, and all it is a black screen.
Is there a version of that for AT&T Uverse? Also, this should probably go without saying, stockpile water and bandages in case of incidents that can be fixed.
God bless everybody in here. I hope everybody stays safe. Good night, y'all.
Hey, thank you, Terminator. I see that. Is that zip code? Is that where is that your zip code at the end? Just curious.
Excuse me, guys. When the hurricane supposed to hit Orange County, Orlando?
Yeah, William, I just saw it. I'd leave it alone. Don't post it and don't approve it.
No, the reason I was asking that was because I think that was a question somebody wanted to ask. Just FYI, I didn't know if you wanted to respond to that or not.
You know what? I just scrolled past again. Read it off to me. Go ahead. It's if you think it's a valid question, yeah, definitely read it off, because maybe I'm not reading the same thing you are.
if it's too late to evacuate from Key West up to southern Florida.
So yeah, we did read the same thing. Yes, it is too late to evacuate the Keys. You guys have hurricane force winds down there right now. You definitely need to shelter in place. I know it's a very frightening prospect, but it's more frightening to be in your vehicle during a hurricane.
Will you guys be on this channel tomorrow?
Yep, I'm going to stick around and, for another half hour or so till my own personal nerves let go and I can fall asleep. So, yeah, I plan on being here for the duration, but people, you need to understand that as much as I love being able to try to help, I'm going through the section that has the worst possible winds. I don't know how long Wi-Fi and my personal hotspot is going to hold out. I also don't know how long the hotel Wi-Fi hotspots are going to hold out. So as long as AT&T is good to me on my phone, which they usually are, I'm going to stick through it, barring anything going on with the building that I'm in. Yeah, we're going to be here. Kara, William, White Rabbit, several Marines. Yeah, we've got probably about 15 really well experienced people that we're going to be with you just as long as we possibly can.
Thank you very much.
Guys, just so you know, with the winds, if you are in an area with a lot of wind, please extra careful. We came across this issue in Superstorm Sandy. I'm in southeastern Pennsylvania, and I will tell you right now, we had an awful lot of wind damage. So please stay away from your windows, stay away from any glass, and just be safe. I'm praying for y'all, and good night.
I'm going to throw something out there that our deputies in this county are doing. It seems weird, but it actually makes sense. Post-storm, once emergency officials have said that it is actually okay to start venturing out for cleanup, our patrol deputies are actually lining the bottom of their shoes with duct tape. That's apparently, and I never knew this, but apparently duct tape is pretty effective against glass and other sharp objects that might be on the ground that would normally go through like a rubber-soled sneaker or a boot, something like that. So just something to keep in the back of your head if you've got any duct tape laying around.
20 miles an hour. I just want to let you guys know before I sign off, the midnight advisory just came out. No changes. Northwest at 6 miles an hour, winds 120, pressure 932. I tell you, she's like a king cobra going for a strike. This is bringing back a lot of memories of Sandy. You guys have my prayers tonight. I might be heading down there with New York Task Force 2 after the storm's over, so who knows, we may run into each other. But God bless, stay safe. Naples, Fort Myers, Tampa, Canaveral, all you guys down there, hang on and, just survive. That's all I can tell you. Been through Sandy, and now this is really making me sad.
FDNY, contact me, New York here.
Does anybody know when it's supposed to hit Osceola County? Supposedly it's supposed to hit at 2 a.m. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know if I'm hearing wrong.
Okay, we can give estimates, but we can't be for certain. But they're saying basically the middle of the state is going to see the worst of this approximately 2 a.m. to like 4 to 6 a.m. But again, this is going to depend on how fast she moves north. We don't really know at this point.
I know someone was asking about an ESA channel for AT&T. I believe it's 3,000, but someone should verify that. Again, 3,000.
And she's also moving at 6 miles an hour north, just to give you an estimate.
Yeah, at 6 miles north, this storm is actually, she's relatively fast moving for her size, but it's that relatively fast moving versus sitting in the middle of those kind of winds is a little different. The only good thing that I see right now for the West Coast, gotta find that silver lining, is that if her maximum winds are 120, guys, south of Tampa, you know, Fort Myers and stuff, you're going to see about 100 sustained with gusting upwards of 120, at least right now. So let's hope that she loses a little bit more punch when she gets up towards, you know, Fort Myers and Tampa and a little bit north, and just hang on, guys.
This is Liz in Naples, Florida. I just want to say thanks so much, Tampa Girl. You are super informative. What is your background, if you don't mind me asking?
Tampa.
No problem. My dad's a research scientist, so he got me started pretty early. So once I graduated high school, I was actually pre-med, and then I was introduced to 911. I became a 911 dispatcher. When the 2004-5 seasons zigzagged 5 storms across the state, I ended up going down to Punta Gorda for 6 months. I caught the hurricane bug, so to speak, and just started creating the hurricane mitigation department with our agency. I've presented papers at the Governor's Hurricane Conference for over 10 years. And I just retired from 911 last year, but I'm still well connected, involved in the circles right now. In fact, most people that know me on my personal page are really kind of ticked off that, you know, you retire out and then a year later the storm that you always talked about as a possibility hits. So that's my experience, guys.
Yeah, Tampa Girl, you're saying that the hurricane is moving fast for its size, but last report I seen showed it moving at 6 miles an hour. Is there updated information on that?
She's moving at 6 miles an hour right now because she's soaking up the warm water. 6 miles an hour is relatively good for her size. I mean, good is a relative term as well, but my concern would be of like 2 miles an hour. So even though that seems slow if you're in a car, for this size of a hurricane, that's pretty fast. And she's going to pick up speed. She's going to take a little bit more of a turn here. Not much, I would think, but she's going to take a little bit more of a turn. And when she does, if she's soaking up the Gulf waters all the way up, that speed's going to start to pick up. At least that's my prayer and hope, and what everybody that I'm talking to says.
Well, it's definitely picked up a lot of water. There's areas in the Bahamas that pretty much have no sea.
I did a little bit of research. The emergency alert channel is usually the last channel in all service providers lineup. So AT&T, DirecTV, Xfinity, it's usually the last channel.
Okay, the pictures that you're seeing out of the Bahamas, I saw that video myself, and the quote that the person put is misleading because they definitely don't know much about any of these situations. That's normal. That's a general public member. So once the storm starts approaching, it cascading north, I should say, you're going to start to see at the coastal areas that the ocean actually pulls back. It almost... The best way to describe it is like what you saw like overseas with the tsunami, where the ocean pulls out, and then once she makes her northern pass, 2 hours later, sorry, I'm tired, the counterclockwise movement pushes that water back in. So it's not actually picking up the water into the top of the storm and raining it down on our heads. At least not to the level that video shows.
My husband is in Marco Island. He is actually at the emergency operations control room there. I am at a hotel in Naples with my 4 kiddos. So I appreciate you, Tampa Girl, staying on here. I'm having a hard time falling asleep, you know, just worried about my husband and all. So, thanks for all the information again.
Yeah, you said
My pleasure, hon. Although, keep in mind, him being in the EOC, if they would let my dogs into the EOC, I'd be there volunteering right now. EOC buildings in the state of Florida are built very well. They're concrete structures. The ceilings are the roofs are gabled. That's actually a very strong structure to be in, and he's going to be super focused on anything. Hun, I know what you're going through as far as having a loved one doing this. If you want to hit me up in private message, let's keep in touch.
Is it safe to stay in an older home?
Good question. At this point, you don't have much of an option if that's the only structure that you have to go to. Most experts say that pre-1992 construction is not adequate for category 3s and 4s. However, a lot of people post-1992, as far as homeowners and construction companies and realtors that bought houses post-92, that bought the houses post-92, but the houses were built prior to 92, have made much needed improvements, filling in hollow core concrete structures, things like that. So just hunker down, honey, and hang on.
For people that are in the Winter Garden area, specifically the 34734 zip code, we're actually on a hospital power grid. So if you're worried about losing power, don't worry about it.
For AT&T, it's channel 1225 for high definition and channel 225 for standard definition for any of those with AT&T Uverse.
Hey, Tampa girl, what can we expect with this counterclockwise movement on the hurricane if it hits the bay in terms of Pinellas County impacts?
Yeah. Okay, so 2006, I would send you to the paper that I wrote in 2006 because it is public record, but I'm not going to do it because that will upset people. You got to figure look at the landmass between Pinellas. Pinellas County is a peninsula, like Florida, and then it hooks around landlocked with Hillsborough County coming down Hillsborough Avenue and Tampa Road. So you've got a horseshoe-shaped effect for the entire bay. The counterclockwise motion is going to push it southwest, straight up the bay. That water, once it gets up into the bay, has nowhere to go but inland, and that's where we're going to come into the issues with the flooding. And I think it's going to go into the B zones, and I think the canals are going to be a mess as far as flooding. All of the bridges crossing from Pinellas, I think, are in real peril. They shut down the Skyway hours ago. They were already getting gusts. Skyway should hold up. That should not be a problem post-storm. But places like the Courtney Campbell, although they did do a lot of improvements over the last couple years, that bridge is the lowest of the three bridges. Gandy Bridge is relatively old. And then the Howard Franklin is a little bit higher, but the way that the bridge is built, there's real worry about sections of those bridges failing. So,
what about the Alafaya River? Should we be worried about that overflooding?
Any of the rivers, yeah, absolutely. It's something not to panic about, but it definitely keep an eye with your local emergency officials and the news stations. It's going to crest eventually. We will not know what crest numbers are for, probably at least 48 hours. But yeah, keep an eye on it.
What channel is the news on Xfinity?
Tampa girl, what about the panhandle of Florida, Tallahassee, Apalachicola?
Tampa girl, can I just jump in here for a minute and give a Barney style analogy of what you're trying to say, so people can probably understand a little bit better?
Guys, clear the air for the sergeant. And yes, Sergeant, thank you for.
Guys, hold on. Stop transmitting. Let the sergeant get that information out to you. It's really important that you understand what I was trying to say.
Alright, what she was trying to say is
Guys, clear the air for the sergeant, and yes, sergeant, thank you. Guys, clear the air for the sergeant, and yes, sergeant, thank
Yeah, anytime you want to steal any of my analogies, I used to have to do it to Marines a lot of times that couldn't comprehend technical stuff, so I had to break it down Barney style.
Perfect. I'll give you credit every day, all day. Thank you so much.
Tampa girl, what about the coast of Panama City, Tallahassee, Apalachicola? We're next.
Sorry, yeah. You guys are going to fare relatively well, I think. By the time she moves up that way, she should be, this is an estimate again, but if track holds true, she's going to be about a 1. So you're looking at what Tampa originally was hoping for, but at the same time, we couldn't really hope for it because that would have slapped the East Coast pretty hard, but it was what was expected originally, and that was something, me personally, I live, 9 blocks south of me is the dead end of MacDill Air Force Base and the Bay. 4 blocks to the east of me is Bayshore Boulevard, and about 10 blocks was the Causeway, and I was going to stay put. So I think Tallahassee, Apalachicola, and stuff are going to fare relatively well.
Who said the hurricanes are growing? Not, but for real, how bad is it going to be when it hits Orlando?
We've heard.
Okay, so should the track stay true and she sits right off the coastline as far as the eye goes and goes straight up, again, the northeast quadrant of the storm is the most dangerous, other than the eye wall. So central Florida, we're in for a rough time too. I don't think that it's necessarily going to be as rough as the Fort Myers, Tampa Bay area, but I think you're going to get some significant wind damage, but just hang in there.
Is it too late to evacuate from Ocala?
Back to Tallahassee, Florida. What if she pushes west like she continues to do?
It's going to depend. I mean, she's going to lose speed as far as wind speeds, not motion speed, but wind speeds. It just depends how far west the eye goes. I mean, the way that this storm has been tracking, nothing would even surprise me if this sucker takes a hard left. I mean, she's gone from going straight up the East Coast to now coming straight up the West Coast, and has surprised every major meteorologist and EOC in the entire state. So it's really unpredictable. Ask me that question again right after the storm passes through Tampa, and I'll probably have a better idea and better, at least a better thought process on it.
That's what scares us, because she was supposed to move up the East Coast and then Tampa, and now she's stalling. And if she moves into that hot water into the Gulf, it scares us over here on the Panhandle of Florida towards Tallahassee and Apalachicola.
Yeah, I know. My sister's up in Tallahassee right now asking me similar questions. I just don't have the answer. I don't think anybody does right now. But take that fear and turn it into something productive. That's what I've been doing the last couple of days, guys. That's why I even came into this group in the first place. My anxiety level was really high. I knew I had some information I could share to help others, to empower them to help themselves. So get busy on your hurricane plans. In Tallahassee, if you're concerned, book it north. You know, you're going to have to go pretty far north because of all the evacuees, but, you know, go with your gut feeling at this point.
I think you're correct, and people need to understand from in my area, the Panhandle, is that all the hotels have been booked up so far out because everyone evacuating from the north. We try to get hotels into Alabama, into Georgia, and everything's booked. So just as she moves more west, she's going to do what she wants to do at this point in time. So if she does come up the coast and stays off the coast with her eye, if she moves towards Tallahassee and our Panhandle, we're going to get a direct hit.
Yeah, Motel 6 in Jacksonville is closing all motels and kicking out all evacuees back out into the storm.
Yeah, y'all are better off just staying put, man. When you start hitting those mountains, when you start going north, man, there's other problems that are involved too. So, I mean, Tampa girl, what was your logic in staying put in Tampa? Because, you know, we're here in Peake County too. We decided to hunker down. We were here back in 2006 too for that nasty Charlie.
Category should it?
My logic was twofold and partially based on stupidity of responsibility. I help run a restaurant here locally, and we've got about 30 employees, and I was trying to direct them and get them safe, get them their paychecks, make sure that the restaurant was hunkered down as much as I could while watching the track. And based on my, you know, training, I was pretty much believing the east track, and if it had done the east track, then, you know, Tampa was going to fare well. Last night and into this morning, when the west track came up, I have another unique problem, is that I have 6 dogs and 3 cats. So going to the East Coast would have been a logistical nightmare. And so I really took it from the next perspective. Okay, if you can't get way out of Dodge, where can I go that is relatively safe? Because again, the whole adage is you run from water, you hide from wind. You don't have to necessarily go out of state. If you just get out of the flood zones and into a very strong structure like I am in now, you know, everything around me is going to be messed up. My car will probably be messed up. Okay, fine. But I can still stay relatively local so that when FEMA and then the rescue and recovery groups get in here, I don't have such a trek to make back home with 6 dogs and 3 cats. So that was part of my thinking.
What category should we get hit in Orlando?
So Central Florida is going to get the northeast side of the storm, which is the most dangerous as far as, you know, wind damage and such goes. They're estimating, at least on the last track, by the time it hits Central Florida, that it's still going to be a high Category 2 or low Category 3. The wind speeds that I'm seeing coming off the west coast are pretty incredible, unfathomable actually. I'll come back in a second. The one thing that I was reading tonight that actually stunned me, one of the EOCs up in North Carolina, somebody had asked him a question. I was watching it, and they wanted to try to perceive what the wind would feel like. So if you've ever been to the Museum of Science and Industry, they have these like tornado machines where you stand in this tube and it blasts you. The strongest of those machines is only 74 miles an hour, and if you've ever seen pictures, go to YouTube and look. You know, hair's flying, your clothes are flying up and stuff like that. So, you know, the West Coast is very seriously, significantly looking at almost twice that. So now imagine that on a huge scale, and, you know, gives you maybe some idea of what we're going to go through.
Tampa girl, what would you expect from Clearwater once the storm impacts?
I'm expecting Clearwater that I'm not getting there anytime soon. No, seriously. You guys are going to have, depending on that eye wall, If that eye wall sits off coast, you're going to fare better as far as wind damage goes. But again, for Clearwater and Pinellas, you guys are going to have to deal with the effects of that storm surge. And again, if you're in Clearwater, hunker down post-storm, and definitely have your radios and anything you can to listen to emergency officials on that storm surge.
Thank you for that. You have a good night.
Tampa Girl, can you please accept my request for a friend so I can PM you?
On Facebook?
I mean, y'all, I thought this was for information about a hurricane. What is everyone talking about? Like, I'm just wondering, because I'm in Tallahassee and I'm kind of scared, so is it going to hit us like crazily? I hope not.
Tampa Girl, back to your Apalachicola, Tallahassee guys. What do you think about her pushing off the coast a little bit more to the west? Do you see her moving back into that hot Gulf?
I've been thinking about that all night. My sister's up in Tallahassee. She's been asking me all these questions, and I've been looking at, I was looking at the history of Donna. Donna turned hard right. I can't really guess. I mean, there is definitely the possibility that this storm could turn a hard right or a hard left, so it could impact anywhere from Jacksonville to Tallahassee. But again, I have to look at the perspective too, by the time it gets up through the peninsula, what kind of level category it's going to be at that point. So you're going to take, I guess the best estimate would be, at least my opinion would be, is that you guys are going to get it at worst half as bad as, from Fort Myers, from just slightly north of Tampa. That's still not good, but it's not as bad.
So do you think that high pressure system coming down is really going to push it and keep it back to the east instead of it turning more back into that hot Gulf and running up the coast and cruising through Tallahassee, not hitting Apalachicola?
I don't know. That whole prospect of pushing this into a trough based on the dip has really, quite frankly, just pissed me off, because it's frustrating meteorologists, because it's not doing what the weathermen know that those troughs do. And that cold front moved down really quick, and then it almost seemed to have stalled. I honestly don't know. I don't even want to speculate right now. Again, ask me that question tomorrow night, when I need something else to focus on, and I'll have a better idea, I think.
Yeah, we're in St. Augustine, and we're expected to start seeing effects, I guess they said around 9 o'clock and then through Monday.
Guys, I'm in Miami right now, and the winds are crazy. They're super, super, super strong.
Yeah, Miami is definitely experiencing hurricane force winds right now, 74 miles an hour plus. I just saw two updates on that. One was registering 74 by Miami International Airport, and about 5 miles north of that registered 78. So that was sustained. So wind gusts are a little bit higher.
I'm with you on the Tallahassee Apalachicola thing, Tampa Girl, but she's still moving west at almost 7 mile an hour. She hasn't turned north yet, so I don't think that people on the Panhandle have quite understood what she could do if she wants to. So we've seen this before with Katrina, as they sit and they stall. In a storm this big at 400 or 500 miles wide, she'll do what she wants to do. So she hasn't moved north yet. I'm watching right now. So she's coming off Cuba really slow. So if she moves west at all to that 90-degree water, we're all in trouble on the Panhandle.
Well, she's in the Straits, and she's already in that hot water. So they're expecting her overnight to pick up speed, because basically the hotter the water, it's like pouring gas on a fire. So you're going to get that burst of energy in the storm, and then it's going to push north pretty quick. Again, if the eye wall's in the water, it's going to move faster, which will reduce our wind damage, but not our storm surge damage. storm surge damage. You know, really honestly, if you're up in the Panhandle, just keep an eye on this storm over, you know, obviously you are, but keep a close eye. Keep your hurricane preparations going. If you're uncomfortable and you want to evacuate, just keep in mind you're going to have to go pretty far north and then west, because you have to remember that Texas is still dealing with the effects of Harvey. So a lot of people, FEMA's got people in hotels all up in that area. So you're really going to have to get up like the Ohio River Valley to start seeing opening up. I'll come back in just a second more. You also have to remember 14 million people in the state of Florida are going to be directly impacted by this storm. Tentative estimates that over 850,000 people have evacuated the state so far, and that's a conservative estimate. That's very mild compared to the number of people in Florida. You know, that's 1/14 basically of the number of people in Florida were able to evacuate. So, you know, that's saying something too. So Tallahassee, don't become complacent. Keep on track and keep doing what we've been doing over the last couple of days.
Tampa Girl, what do you think about
Tampa Girl, hey, what are your thoughts on the direct hit of Bradenton, Anna Maria Island area and Palmetto, like recovery after the damage is done? Do you think the buildup will be fast, or what's going to really happen? You know, what are your thoughts?
Post-storm buildup is always a fascinating thing. Punta Gorda was amazing. So, you know, the immediate after effects is that officials are going to have to get into you. That could, depending on the damage, that's going to be a little bit difficult in the first couple of days. That's why they tell you to prepare if you're in the coastal regions for 7 days worth of supplies. I would estimate with Anna Maria Island, because you got Manatee County there, and they can get to you relatively quickly. As long as those bridges and the drawbridges hold out, I would expect to see officials in there within 72 hours post-storm. As far as utilities, it depends on storm damage. You guys could be down for weeks to a month easily. As far as buildup, Anna Maria Island is one of my favorite places to go, and all the resorts and the little chalets that are along there. I'm pretty darn sure they're going to build those up pretty darn quick. That is the number one thing in Florida is tourism, so they're going to rebuild quick. But quick is, you know, a year or two, perhaps.
And there's an update. They said that conditions possibly within the next 48 hours, and then conditions are expected within 36 hours.
Whoever was asking earlier, if you want to find a shelter, go to redcross.org.
Question, Tampa Girl, back in Apalachicola. I'm actually in Destin, Florida, but she's still tracking west, and she hasn't made that north turn yet. And I'm watching on GeoTracker and several different models. She's not even tracked north yet. So if she does push into the Gulf, this could be a whole different ballgame. So Tampa, you know, this is a forecast that went from Miami and the East Coast up to Carolinas, that now is Tampa, and now is they don't quite know. And she's tracking northwest right now, and she still hasn't made a turn that she was supposed to make, they said, 6 hours ago. So we really don't know, correct?
Does anybody know if there's ferry service in Tampa for after the storm to get around?
Tampa Girl, I have two questions for you, my friend. Why did the tornado watch get canceled? And number
Henderson, I see what I get what you're asking me, and I can understand your very insistent concern about it. I share it. I just can't give you the answers that you're looking for. I know what you're asking me to agree with you on and what you are really thinking is going to happen, but the meteorologists can't even say it, and they have a hell of a lot more education than I do. So again, tomorrow night, about 24 hours from now, we'll have a better idea of how it's going to affect the Panhandle. You know, just consider this: in 24 hours, it's going to be in Tampa. So that still gives another 24 hours for the Panhandle to make their final arrangements. But again, all I can reiterate is keep your hurricane preparations going. Don't stop. Don't become complacent.
Tampa Bay girl, do you think this is going to head towards Atlanta, where I'm at right now? It's going to head towards Atlanta?
Thank you, Tampa girl. I appreciate it. Just a little worried up here.
Trust me, I understand your worry. That's why I'm still awake.
Yeah, look, folks, this is a gambling game right now. This is Mother Nature at its finest. Everybody, this is Las Vegas. We're all making predictions about the weather, and Tampa girl's doing her best.
Don't mistake, I'm not mad or anything. My voice may be coming across that way. I'm a little anxious right now. That's why I'm on here, guys. Again, I don't know if you heard me earlier, but the entire reason why I came on here was because a couple days ago was because I have the education and some information that the general public usually doesn't know, or they just need to hear it. And when people call 911, dispatchers can be a little gruff. But I don't have to be anymore because I'm retired. So I do have quite a compassionate side to me, so others say. That's why I came in, so I could give you that information that you're going to hear from other resources, and that's going to come across grating. I find a lot of people in the last 10 years, of all the people that I've met post storms, is that they say that, media hypes things up, and they do. That's what they do. But then they turn around and they say they feel like the EOC officials and, like the governor and stuff are being assholes, for lack of a better word. And I get it. They're trained to be that way. They genuinely are the most caring people you ever want to meet. But they have to come across authoritative when they're on TV, so that people, their hope is that people will listen to them. There are exceptions to that rule, and I'll come back and tell you about that in just a second.
Hey, is it too late to evacuate Osceola County?
Yes, that would be my opinion. Let me explain one thing. Here in Tampa, our mayor in the city, I wanted to go through the TV screen at him the other day because he told in a news update, this was 2 days ago, they were doing level A voluntary evacuations of special needs only. And he came on that TV next to the chief of police and said, if you stay in South Tampa, south of Kennedy, post-storm, we're coming for you in a body bag. And I just sat there. I wanted to punch him out. I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. Some of these officials are on a power trip, and some of them genuinely care. I always direct people to Dennis Phillips on Facebook because he's a meteorologist that doesn't hype things. He's incredible. And he's very knowledgeable, and he's very, very accurate too. So you might want to check him out. So, like I said, just keep your hurricane prep going. That's all I can say. Keep moving forward. Don't become complacent. Don't let panic and fear stop you. That can kill you. So move through it. Stay awake and stay online here. If it's constructive, keep doing it.
Okay, Tampa Bay girl, what do you think of Brian Norcross? And you think we're going to get tropical storm winds in Atlanta? Yes or no?
Undetermined. Good possibility, maybe gusts. But I think Atlanta's right now faring pretty good.
Yeah, Tampa girl, I'm in Polk County. Am I gonna be straight? Like, am I gonna get hit hard?
Yes, you will be getting very hit hard, sir.
Confirm reports Boca Raton without power. Confirm reports inner Cape Coral area experiencing high winds and heavy rains at this time.
In reference to Polk, sincerely, yes. You're going to get the northeast quarter of the storm. Again, the northeast quarter is what causes a majority of the damage in a large swath. The eye of the core of the storm, the eye of the storm, the outer, the wall, the rim of it, that causes usually catastrophic damage, but it's a very small, isolated section. But the northeast quadrant is a very wide section. It's not as bad as the eye wall, but it is still
extremely powerful and extremely dangerous. You're talking differences in winds of only 15 to 20 miles an hour. So, yeah, if you're in Polk, hunker down. I got a lot of friends in Polk that are deputies, and all of them are doing the same thing.
196,000 people are now reported without power.
Tampa Girl, do you have any information on the storm surges for Crystal River and Citrus County?
350,000 without power in the Keys, confirmed.
I'm going to post a
35,000 people without power in Palm Beach County. That includes Boca Raton.
Do you guys think that it will upgrade to the Category 4 before it hits Osceola County? Does anybody have an opinion on that?
There isn't really any way to tell that at this time.
Tampa Girl, I definitely understand up here in Destin, Tallahassee, Florida, but the latest reading just came out, pushing northwest. The eye might not even hit Tampa and run up the coast of Tallahassee and hit us directly. So a little bit of concern, but I'm definitely with you. No hard feelings. No one can judge where it's going. But as I just saw, northwest push, 8 mile an hour, and not even hitting Tampa. So us in the Gulf and us in Destin, Florida, Panama City are a little bit worried.
With good reason. I mean, even if the eye let's say this eye never hits land going all the way up the west coast. That does not mean that Tampa, Fort Myers, Naples and all of that aren't going to get a big fat sucker punch, a devastating sucker punch, because we're going to be in the northeast quadrant of the storm. We're also going to have to deal with storm surge. You could run doomsday scenarios to Kingdom Come. I don't think it's a good idea to go there because that's going to paralyze you. I love how tenacious you are. You actually have the fever that I had back in 2004 and 5, and that's an amazing thing. Just make sure you temper the enthusiasm and the panic and make sure it stays constructive. That's the best advice that I could give you. The first research paper I ever did at the Governor's Hurricane Conference, I was so excited that I had a really hard time presenting the information to where they could understand. I felt like it was a flop. The paper itself was good, but my presentation of it was all over the map. So just focus, follow the tracks. You'll know more tomorrow. Like I said, 24 hours from now, Tampa's getting sucker punched. At least 24 hours after that would be when Destin, the Panhandle, Pensacola, and stuff like that would be affected. So just keep an eye on the storm. Like I said, this girl has done everything on her own mind itself already, as far as tracks, east, west, now west. So nothing is off the table.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm a local home builder, and my father is as well, as are my brothers, and we study weather every day, and they told us this high pressure would push her, a 500-mile wide storm would push her east, and we laughed about it. Not really laughing in hopes, but she's still done what she wants to do, and I'm just trying to, and I love, you're like me, my passion's very strong in life, but I just tried to explain to my friends this is not something to play with. Like, she can still move our way, and if she wants to, whenever she wants to.
Yeah, hurricane.
Sure she could, but keep in mind this, and then I'm going to open it up for people to ask some more questions. When the storm was coming in through the Antilles, they expected it to go north of the Antilles. It smacked the Antilles head on. They expected the eye wall to massively impact San Juan, Puerto Rico. The eye skirted the northern coast. Same thing with Cuba. When they said that it was coming in, that's when we were getting that east track. They said it was going to come in and get torn up somewhat by the mountain range and then spin off a hard right and go up the east coast. This storm is crazy, and I think I'm very interested in what the papers are going to be like in the following year for meteorologists, because this storm, I think, is going to redefine how they're going to do some projections. I think these spaghetti models in the future won't be all over the map so much, and they're going to be very conservative estimates instead of, oh, we're sure it's going to take a right hook to the east, like most meteorologists were saying. because of this storm. It's just absolutely fascinatingly chaotic.
The last report says the track has shifted slightly farther to the west, about 15 miles. Important ramifications for where and when landfall occurs. It would be moving up to the west coast on Sunday, so landfall would occur first over Key West around 7 a.m. Next landfall expected near Sarasota late Sunday. Florida City of Naples and Fort Myers expected to see significant storm surge and dangerous winds. Center for Hurricane Irma is now expected to track over Tampa Bay, which should mean an increase in the storm surge in around Tampa and St. Petersburg area.
Has anything changed? Is it still heading straight towards Osceola County and Orange County, which is basically Orlando?
Can you guys hear me?
Henderson, I was just looking at some of Dennis Phillips' updates on his channel. You know, the storm's slowing down to 6 miles per hour. That is a clear indication that she's about to make her turn for whichever way she's going to go, slightly west, slightly east, or due north. I think, basing on opinion, if she trucks it due north, then I think Destin would fare relatively well because you're going to be on the west side of the storm. If she turns more west, let's say the eye stays totally off the coast, based on what I'm seeing, then it would still be like a diagonal jog up. But again, the eye wall damage is a very limited area. It's 20 to 40 miles wide. It's the northeast quadrant that's the most dangerous. So I would think like Destin being on the west side of the storm would still fare much better than perhaps on the east side, which is closer to the peninsula.
Yep, either way, if this eye's sitting in the water, just expect it to continue its momentum. And like I said, Mother Nature is going to take its turn either way. And like we say in the Marine Corps, embrace the suck, hunker down.
Oh, I love that. I am so going to write that on the mirror here in the hotel room so that I can remind myself of that in about 24 hours. Thanks for the laugh, man. I needed that.
Question about New Tampa. Does anybody have any updates on that?
New Tampa is it's gonna anywhere the same wind speeds that have been listed for a while. You know, a constant level of about 100 sustained, and wind gusts up to 135. But you guys are in a better situation as far as storm surge wise. So yeah, hang in there.
I learned a lesson back in '04 with Hurricane Charlie. I was down in Southwest Florida, and it was not very fun to get the news that we had about 45 minutes to an hour to evacuate because the storm had suddenly taken a very sharp, very unpredicted right-hand turn right up into Charlotte Harbor and up the Peace River. So I've been following Bentusky.com, and shows the GFS track, and I just took a screenshot of it, and I'll post it showing Tampa and wind speeds when they'll be kind of at their maximum sustained.
What does that track say? Will it be the maximum sustained?
Yeah, I hope the hurricane comes over to North Carolina. I want to see some shit.
Tampa girl, thank you so much for all your help in the Panhandle. I know you're tired, I can hear it, but thank you so much. I appreciate all your time.
It's all right. I don't mind being tired. It says I was more anxious a little while ago when I came on, and as I get more tired, I promise I will be logging off in about 10 minutes. It's 12:50. I need to try to get some sleep to be not like this in 24 hours, but you know, it reduces my anxiety in being here. So, you know, thank you for challenging me in my thinking, and thank everybody for all your great questions. I mean, I think it's great. I've said this over the last couple of days. Moderators get so frustrated during the day, but I think our evening chats and information that comes out is amazing. I'm hearing some amazing questions that I don't usually hear from the general public. You know, kudos to you guys for taking this seriously.
You know how they say that the Northeast band?
Tampa girl, highly agree. Looks like a lot of the trolls went to bed. It's nice and refreshing to have good conversation. Be safe. Have a good night.
Yeah, it truly is. Thanks, logistics guy. You too.
So you're awesome.
Okay, wait a minute. Stop. I don't want kudos. I really don't. Look, again, I've got information that
No, I didn't mean to step on you, Tampa Girl. I just want to say thank you for all you do. Have a good night. Definitely get some rest. Get charged up.
Thanks, guys. Okay, look, stop thanking me. It drives me nuts. I feel embarrassed about that, okay? I have a passion for...
All right.
I have the information and I just want to share it.
Go to bed. Get some sleep.
Does anybody know about Daytona? My uncle lives out there. I can't get a hold of him. Anybody know anything about over there?
Hold on, Florida. We're praying for you from Wisconsin.
Hey, moderators, if y'all want to make me a moderator, help out a little bit. Me and Tampa Girl.
Hey, we got that handled, man. We got tons of moderators and admins in the back, man. No offense.
Where the niggas don't sleep.
Hey, does anybody know if it's gonna rain at all in Florida?
Now, I have a question about the northeast bands and how it's going to affect, like, Palm Beach County area. I was originally in Tallahassee, but I evacuated down here to Palm Beach because I have family here and they needed my help.
Okay, so when we talk about the Northeast, if you look at this storm as if it was a clock, 12, 1, 2, and 3, the Northeast quarter that we're talking about is between 12 and 3. So as that moves up the peninsula, as the track stands right now, more towards the center, it's going to be the strongest, and it's going to work its way out there, towards the edge of the storm. East Coast looks like you're faring very well. It's where we thought we were, a little over 24 hours ago. So 24 hours ago, I was going to stay in my house, which was right on the level of A and B for flooding. So I think the East Coast is going to fare relatively well. The Southern Peninsula, not as much as you're going up north, but yeah, I really do think that the Treasure Coast, the Space Coast, is going to fare relatively well.
Okay, Tampa, thank you very much. So we're going to get 80-mile-per-hour winds in South Florida and gusts 100, correct? And some power outages and some trees down, correct?
Tampa Girl shows a 126 mile an hour sustained. I just posted the picture. It says it's up for review.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, as far as the East Coast and the Southern Peninsula, the last one that I read before I came on, it was, I believe that maximum surge, I'm getting tired, guys. The winds sustained were somewhere, around 70 to 74, and then the gusts would go up about 20 above that. So 74 to 94, again, is what we were looking at here on the West Coast 24 hours ago. So, yeah, I think that estimate that you're talking about of damage is right. You also need to take into consideration shingle and roofing damage and power outages as well.
Hey, I just wanted to pass along to everybody on the channel that if you're still looking to evacuate west into Mississippi, all coast hotels are full. There's no vacancies over here in Mississippi now.
14 minutes ago, it says pressure has dropped slightly down to 931.
And that drop in pressure plus the slowing of the storm is a definite clear indication that she's about to make a turn somewhere. Stay tuned for where.
How long will Tampa be up without power?
If I'm in Parrish, Florida, and I want to leave, where can I get gas? I really think I should go.
I will say, speaking of evacuation, anyone still wanting to head west towards Orlando that's in the St. Pete, Tampa area, where I do not advise it, I will say I-4 is currently clear. If you're worried that you might get somehow stuck in traffic, there is no traffic on I-4. If you must and you have somewhere to go in Orlando, it's free to come.
All right, guys, and on that note, I'm going to bed. So I will see you guys sometime mid to late morning. Take care and keep rocking it, guys. You got this.
How far is Hurricane Jose behind Irma?
Anybody know,
What time Huracán Irma hit Orlando?
Jose is about a week out from Irma. Estimated.
anybody know, about that tornado that hit there?
I will say, it's looking so far that Jose is not going to make landfall. I would keep an eye on it, but I wouldn't worry about it too much right now. You probably should just pay attention to Irma. Get ready for that. Orlando, whoever was asking about Orlando, they are saying that it's going to be somewhere around 8 o'clock in the morning is when we're probably going to get hit. I would say, again, with Jose and Irma, just focus on Irma right now. Be prepared for that. Stay safe. And once that's passed, if Jose becomes a threat, they'll of course let us know. But as of right now, it's looking like Jose is not even going to make any coastfall.
Is Tampa Girl still on here? And I got a question for her if she's still on here.
No, sir, she's no longer taking questions at this point. Thank you.
Guys, Hurricane Irma has now hit.
Combs, we need to step up, man. We got questions coming in all over the place.
Yeah, some of these questions could. Some of these questions can be answered by watching your local news and watching the Weather Channel and things like that. So I'm just in the background, my friend, and just want to make sure we don't disturb Tampa Girl. She's been wearing it out, so she needs time to rest and things like that. So we're just in the background, my friend.
Can anybody tell me about Daytona Beach? My uncle lives out there and I can't get a hold of him. I'm over here in New York.
If you figure out the zip code of where your uncle lives and text his zip code to the number 888777, that'll send you all the local updates from his area.
If you can't get a hold of them and you're worried about them, call 911 in that area, the non-emergency number, and have them do a welfare check.
Alright, thank you guys.
Gary, also keep in mind it is almost 1 a.m. right now here, so he may be sleeping.
Yeah.
Also be aware from what we know, I'm sure it's still going to get hit. Anywhere in Florida is probably still going to get hit no matter where you are. However, remember the East Coast is now looking like as Tampa Girl said, the East Coast is now looking like the West Coast was about 2 days ago.
How's everything going?
We saw the hurricane hit Port Charlotte, Florida.
I was just wondering, with the number of trailers and homes down there, what's the percentages? I'm currently with the Army Corps of Engineers. I work directly with FEMA, and we're trying to get a count on how much trailers and temporary housing units will probably have to be set up in the aftermath of Irma.
I don't know if there's any telling that at this point. It really depends on the area that's going to get hit, the hardest.
Yeah, I'm in Polk County. I've seen, is it true that we will get hit at
I kind of would almost think that you guys would maybe have a little bit more intel on that than we would actually. I'm not being smart of it by saying that, but I would almost think that you guys would have a heck of a lot more intel on that than we would actually.
The big thing.
We do. We have boots on the ground currently, just trying to find general areas. But I was at my own personal note. I wanted to know a number of trailer parks to, residential housings made of concrete, like percentage-wise.
Hey.
Yeah, and I mean, no, like I said, no. Please don't take offense to that. I'm not trying to be a jerk or be rude. I was just thinking that you guys would seriously probably have a heck of a lot more intel than we would on that. That's why I was asking that. I'm like, with the intelligence and things that you guys have and intel, I would just think that you guys would have a heck of a lot more than what we had. Just a little, FYI. I just was like, I figured you guys would be like maps, graphs, and all that, and be with the intel with the police and things like that, and law enforcement, and getting the grids and things from them.
Well, I mean, they're utilizing social media. It's part of their job, and so I can provide a little bit. 350,000 are without power in Key West. That's the best we got right now, brother.
Fuck Irma. Breaking news: 200,000 people.
This hurricane pussy as fuck.
Also to add, I will say in Orlando, at least 3 areas that are all trailer homes have been evacuated. So, I mean, that's not anywhere near as many as there are, but if at 3 at once, and then it's a total area of Orlando, might give you at least somewhat small of an idea of how many we're looking at here.
As far as my knowledge goes, all trailer parks along the east coast of Florida are either in a Zone A or Zone B evacuation. I forget which zone, but I had seen that the other day. All trailer parks on the east coast of Florida were in Zone A or B. I mean, if the hurricane does hit as hard as they were expecting it to hit, trailers don't really stand a chance against those kind of conditions.
Trailers are going to be demolished. We have my boy Giancarlo's Avila.
You're correct on that.
So I live in a mobile home with my
county appraisers' offices will have the most up-to-date information about what areas have the most mobile homes versus other types of builds.
Hey guys, I have family in Port Charlotte, just trying to figure out timing effects and what they're looking at.
I agree with that. I was about to say the zone.
For the woman asking about her family in Port Charlotte, we don't really have any updates at this time as to when exactly the hurricane is going to hit and what areas it's going to hit, just because things can change a little bit. My best advice for you would be to find out their zip code and text their zip code to 888-777, and you will receive text updates of all the local information for their area.
What about Pasco County, like Newport Richey area?
Like I just mentioned to the other woman, please text your zip code to 888-777.
Hey, real quick, I don't want to interrupt anything. I just want to let y'all know. We've been dealing with trying to find out where gas is. Go download the Gas Buddy app. It tells you it's a community base where you can get notified of where gas will be, how much it costs, and so forth. It's community based, so whatever you guys find, go contribute to that app too, so people will know. Spread the word.
I'll also add a little off topic on the mobile homes that we were talking about. In the event, say your car gets flooded or there is a tree in your way and you're not able to contact emergency services, just in the event, I highly doubt this will ever happen, be aware, I've come to notice, especially with the Jeep group that I'm in, a lot of Jeep groups are going to be offering help to, say, tow cars out of flooded areas, if they're able to move trees, things like that off the sides of the road for people. So if you're not, again, able to contact emergency services, maybe look into some of the Jeep crews that are on here and see if someone would be able to help you.
Hi, this is TXBONY. I'm moderating the kids channel over there. If I can get a moderator, I got a couple of you guys as friends to PM me, please.
I live in Manatee County in an older house, and we can't evacuate. We're in a evacuation zone D, and we're getting nervous. Some of the people in my family have no IDs, and we don't know what to do.
Mandy, your best advice would be to try and show up at a local shelter, even though some shelters are requiring you to show ID. If you do show up at the shelter, I doubt they'll be able to just turn you away, especially if you are in a mandatory evacuation zone. That would be my best advice to you.
I'm here in Miami-Dade, and the gusts from the wind outside is chaotic. There's sheds being torn apart, and we're hours away from being hurt by Irma, so this is really concerning.
I'll also add on top of Gumball's note, Mandy, if you're not able to get IDs for them, I'm guessing because they just don't have them in general, if you have any way to prove of your residency in that evacuation zone, you might be able to bring that with you to prove that, hey, you know, I'm in this evacuation zone, I've got a family that doesn't have any proof, but we've got this bill, say a water bill, for simple, to prove that, hey, we're in an evacuation zone, we can't evacuate, please let us in the shelter so we have some kind of safety.
It's starting to rain here in Tampa.
I just jumped back in here. Those winds with tearing the sheds apart and that, where is that at?
That's in Miami-Dade, Hialeah to be specific, so we're supposed to be dodging mostly the hurricane, but as far as I can see, man, Irma's just gonna be a big, deal.
Also keep in mind, Miami-Dade's in a tornado warning, and the northeast quadrant is still hitting.
Also remember, it doesn't matter where you are in Florida, all of us are going to get hit by this hurricane.
The surges, really got to keep our eyes on those surges. Those are what's going to cause the devastation.
Remember what Tampa girl said, run from water, hide from wind, and embrace the suck and hunker down.
So are we gonna be straight or what? Like, I'm in Polk County, Bartow, Florida, man. Like, are we really gonna get fucked to where we die and we had to go to FEMA camp?
You ain't gonna die, dude. You need to stop listening to these assholes.
For those that wanted to know about shelter in Tampa, at least I've known here that says that Tampa won't probably get hit by 7 o'clock on Monday morning. But if you I know family that are in Tampa, and they're my husband's family, and they don't have any documentation because of their immigration, and they were not sent away from shelter. So even if you don't have identification, as long as you have proof of address and mandatory evacuation, you should be getting help. They cannot reject you for not having identification.
Yo, get out of there from Bartow.
That's true. A lot of homeless people don't have identification either, and they're also being urged to seek shelter.
Any updates on the Zone D and Zone E in Hillsborough County? Do they need to evacuate?
Hey, just a special
To the man asking about Hillsborough County, please text your zip code to 888-777. That will text you and provide you all the information you need to know.
Hey, just want to give a special thank out to Clear Glass there. He's been sending out a ton of information and photos and things, and he's been in the background. I appreciate you, man. I've been seeing those pics, and when I can get them, I'm trying to get them posted for you, man. So thank you for doing what you're doing.
Yeah, they're not going to be turning anybody away from those shelters. If it's a mandatory evacuation, you got to make your way to that shelter, and they will not turn you away if you do not have the necessary paperwork or ID.
Just a quick question for anybody that lives in South Florida or just that knows information of the hurricane. Is it going to be a Cat 4 by the time it, hits the Key West all the way up, to Miami possibly?
I think it will be a Cat 4. We don't really have a way to tell that right now. You know, it's all predictions as to what category it's going to be when it hits. We're just going to have to wait and see.
It's definitely going to be a Cat 4, for sure.
Yeah, you can expect 120 to 130 mile an hour winds at that rate from Key West up to Fort Myer area. Just keep in mind, everybody, this thing is moving counterclockwise at 6 miles an hour, headed north. It's about to turn north. It's heading west right now, but it's going to start turning north because that pressure started moving low. But remember, just hunker down. You're going to get the winds, and then the rain and the water is going to start flooding in. So expect the water after the wind.
Do you think trailer parks and homestead are going to be fine? Like, I'm not trying to get my home blown away.
Okay, this was published 39 minutes ago, but it was updated 3 minutes ago, saying that's packing winds of more than 120 miles per hour, bring deadly storm surge to the Florida Keys and the upper west coast of Florida. Tampa Bay, one of the major metro areas, is at risk. Hasn't seen direct hit from major hurricane in almost a century. Hold on, I'll be back.
Do you have your trailer home strapped to concrete pads?
Is St. Petersburg, Florida safe?
And then it says 11 p.m.